What's going on, guys?
How's it going? What's up, Yoel? You're at how's the conference?
Well, it starts tomorrow, but I had to come in to meet with corporate. We've been
Been a bad boy.
yeah, just got here. No, we've actually been piloting some new services for them. So
Nice.
they want to debrief me before they launch it tomorrow.
Are you still going to do your own as well? The own conference?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So a lot of the franchisees don't want to come to this one because we're doing it.
That's why they're keeping you close.
What's up, Chris?
Hey,
Good to see you again.
you as
So
well.
this is not the fun conference, the whatever you
This
called
this is not the funvention, no.
it. A funvention, right.
I like the funvention.
Me too.
Dude, looks like Trey Powell's ready for Christmas time. He's got Christmas lights on his house over there. Did you buy a Christmas light franchise, Trey?
Now you have music.
I was just on the phone with Trey. I forgot I had this the meeting too. He's gonna be here tomorrow.
Nice.
So the answer to that is no, I did not buy a franchise, but yes, I am doing Christmas lights.
Are you doing mom and pop Christmas lights?
No, I am doing way better than that.
Talk to me.
I don't think I need a franchise to do Christmas lights, but we'll find out.
But you're doing a Christmas light, a business.
I
As a business.
am.
Cool. Are you buying them direct from China or are you going through a distributor?
I am going through a distributor right now. That is the biggest problem, is there are containers sitting offshore that used to be $3,000 to land one of those containers. Now it's 30,000.
I was in Huntington Beach last week, end of last week and over the weekend. And I'm like, the ocean's lit up, it's on the way to Long Beach and the ocean's just lit up. And I'm like, what's going on? And there are a bunch of container ships just sitting out there. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, apparently they're anchored because they don't have any labor to unload them.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Man, it's fun to see some of you guys over at the Sodak Shindig. That was a good time, face to face.
Yeah, it was.
Saxer, I half expected you to show up, man. Where were you? Hanging out on the other side of the state or what?
No, wrapping up baseball season. So it was a long year of baseball, and it's our crazy season. So
Cool.
yes, I'm still working on this semi-absentee concept. I'm still an owner operator. I don't like it, but we'll get there.
Man, I think a lot of people are here's a good thing about being an owner operator or being able to be an owner operator. It's hard to get out of the day to day, but like when you need to be there and the business needs it, if you can do it and you're right in market, it's nice to be able to do that. It's a challenge when you own out of state and things are going wrong and you wish you could be there and have an impact on the business. So, it's a double-edged sword, being forced to be semi-absentee and then actually being able to have impact on your business. So anybody have any employee issues out there?
Finding them.
Anybody solving anything with employee issues?
Nothing like writing an HR doc at midnight because someone got offended by a leadership suggestion from someone. I was like, hold on, team. I'm going to write up a doc and we're all going to add to it. Par for the course sometimes.
Man, anybody able to get over, like, any tips on labor shortage challenges with that? Anybody having any luck with any of that?
Paid him under the table.
Pay them under the table.
I had found that on Indeed that paying for the sponsorship wasn't bringing any. It was actually bringing less than if I did the free. So I started doing
I had the same result.
Yeah, a free post, and I just did every other week, I would just post a new one, and I would get a flow of applicants.
Yeah, I've had a similar.
I've got-
The free has worked better, and then instead of refreshing your post,
Just add a new one.
delete it and create a new one. And then the inviting people to apply on Indeed is something that's worth spending time on. So when you do your post, it'll like match people up that look like that might be a good fit, and you can invite them to apply. That's really helped us out quite a bit.
Cool.
This is the worst suggestion ever, but if it's available, friends, family, church members, anyone and everyone you know, those have been the ones that have stuck the longest this year, especially the later half of the year.
So how are you doing that? I mean, yeah, we get it. It's but like, what are you doing to execute that? Is it just asking? Is there a referral fee?
I think that you get better results. Don't just go around town complaining that you can't find anybody, because you're basically putting it out there that no one wants to work for you. Must be a terrible place to work. But, you put it out there that, man, we're growing. I'm really looking for a couple of key guys. If you know anybody that meets this description, man, we are looking to bring on people. That is a completely different message than I can't find anybody to work. So, and just be always looking and always talking about it, but not in a negative way. But, friends, the other, kids, friends, employees, I mean, anybody who knows the people that you need, that's where you want to go. But they're not, if you're that guy that's complaining about how horrible the labor is and can't find anybody and nobody wants to work, you're really doing a negative commercial on yourself. And, they're going to be hesitant to refer people to you because it sounds like it may not be a great place to work.
This is a good point. So there's a takeaway that I learned from a mastermind that I was just at. Jimmy Rex is it's kind of an online influencer, big in the real estate space. And he has a famous video on YouTube of his houseboat sinking on Lake Powell. And so he got out the camera, and like, as a houseboat was sinking, legit sinking, his friends had the camera out and videotaped the whole, or, on the phone, taped the whole thing. And that got put on video and YouTube, and it got, tons of views. Picked up by the news station. The news station says, hey, we want to do, let you know, we want to do like a story on that. He said, sure, under one condition. You say, every time you use my name, say real estate expert, Jimmy Rex, real estate expert, Jimmy Rex. So he's like, I crafted the narrative. It's like, it was on the news and it got picked up on print and picked up everywhere. And he's like, everywhere you go, it's like real estate expert, Jimmy Rex, real estate expert, Jimmy Rex. So as I was reminded of that, Trey, like, you reframe that to, we are growing, we're expanding, we need more employees. And that is a very different reframe than what everybody else is doing out there. So I really like that.
For a minute there, my takeaway was we should all be sinking our houseboats. So
man, but I thought that was great. Like, you control the narrative. And mosquito expert, Trey Powell. All right. Today I want to get into two types of panels. We're going to have one on social media and one on kind of neighborhood grassroots guerrilla marketing. And so a lot of you guys can be on the panel. So it's not just the panelists that are going to be speaking, but at least we'll have some people that are, ready to be on the panel. It's not as easy to do a panel virtually, but there's a lot of, been getting a lot more out of panels these days and events that I've gone to. I think those that were at the event here in Spearfish, the panels were pure gold. And so I wanted to do that today with two different topics, and we can do more topics if we want. But before I get to that, we've got the Scale Mastermind tomorrow. So there's like 4 or 5 hours back to back of speakers and whatnot. We got Michael Burnoff. He's in your neck of the woods, Bob. He's got, he's a sales, just a sales expert, mindset guy. Michael Burnoff is a fantastic guy. He's been on one of the early like free episodes that I did early on, and he just got raving reviews. David Meltzer is going to be on. David is was first introduced to me through this group, and since then we've become, more than closer, almost friends. I don't want to like overstate anything, but we saw each other, gave each other a big hug this last week, and we've just seen each other over the last year in different places, and had dinner with him, and he's just a great guy, just one of those givers. David Meltzer will be on, and then Craig Ballantyne. He's the host of the podcast with Bedros Keuilian, Empire Podcast. So he and Bedros are good buddies. By the way, I just saw Bedros too last week, just briefly. But so Craig's going to be on. Craig's a big morning routine type guy. He's also, and just get control of your life and focus type guy. And then we have David Shuck. Some of you guys know David Shuck. He's was with Liberty with us, still is, I think, Trey. I think he's still with Liberty, but he's done very well with Club Pilates. And what he's doing uniquely there is buying out a lot of existing locations around the country. So, and he's got money behind him. It's not just his money. So, talking to him about expanding, growing nationwide, growing something big as a franchisee that will probably sell to private equity at some point. And I believe that's his goal. So really, really good guy there. I'm excited to have him on. So that's tomorrow. If anybody does want to upgrade to scale, just let me know. I've had a couple of people in the last week that have done that. So just let me know. We have a masterclass that we just completed in Scale on the FDD, and we went into some crazy stuff there, really good stuff on the FDD. And then I have Lane Fisher, an attorney, coming on to talk about how to look at FDDs as well as a franchisee. So all that's going to be in Scale. What we have coming up in Grow is Jeff Woods. He's, have you guys heard of the book, The One Thing? Anybody read The One Thing, heard of The One Thing? He's got The One Thing podcast, and he does a lot of the coaching for that group. And I was just on a mastermind session with him, and there's a couple other speakers like, what's his name? With one of my favorite books, Who Not How, Dan Sullivan was on there as well. And Jeff was on there. Jared, you were on there too. And I loved stinking listening to Jeff Woods. So I sent him a message right away and said, hey, will you come on to the Grow and do a masterclass? And because I got so much out of that one session with Jeff Woods. And so he's scheduling to be on, and I want more masterclasses. So guys, if you have a masterclass topic that you want to see discussed, just put it in the messages to say masterclass and then the subject. That way I can start working on that. We've finished up the summer here, and we haven't done a lot with masterclasses, and come fall, we're going to be doing a lot more. So let me know what subjects that you guys want to hear, or if there's experts that you guys want on. Either way, let me know. I love doing these master classes. I think it's such a huge value add. So we'll be doing more of those. And then last but not least, some of you guys know that Justin Donald and I started a new mastermind called the Tribe of Investors. He's got a $50,000 a year mastermind. He's got 70 plus people in that. Some of you in this session right now are part of that mastermind with Justin, $50,000 a year. He and I are starting a new one at $20,000 a year. The basic difference between the two is a lot less deal flow in the one that he and I are doing, because he's got 30 plus deals a year that he's vetting out in his mastermind. We're going to have a lot less, and there's going to be a lower price point to get in some of those deals. And some of you on this call are already in the new mastermind that Justin and I are doing. So that one will be a real ROI. You'll save money or make money. You'll definitely ROI on that $20,000 investment. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. So with that said, let's jump into it. The first panel discussion. We've got Mr. Chris Elmore, and we have, who else was going to be on that? And Yoel, there we go. You guys I couldn't find you there. We are going to be talking about guerrilla marketing, neighborhood marketing, basically free, like how you can get stuff for free. And Trey Powell, I'm throwing you on that panel as well, because you were the guy that first taught me how to properly like fit into the Uncle Sam costume, put it on here, put it over here, put on the hat properly, hold donuts the right way, and go out and guerrilla market properly after you read Jay Conrad Levinson's book on guerrilla marketing. So Trey, you are definitely on that panel as well. But I haven't had much discussion on guerrilla marketing in a long time, and I thought it'd be really interesting to have some conversation around that. So why don't we go around, Chris, just go like, introduce yourself just real quick. Most everyone knows you, and then Yoel, and then Trey, if you can, Trey, I'm not going to put you on the spot if you can, and just let us know a little bit, like 60 seconds of your, like what your mindset or experience is with guerrilla marketing. And then anybody have any questions, you can just raise your hand, you can just interrupt, or you can type it in. So Chris, Yoel, Trey, go.
All right. Hey, everybody. Chris Elmore. Happy to see a lot of faces today. And then did you want me to go ahead and go into a little bit of the guerrilla market, or just do introduction and then we'll
just do quite quick introduction on like your experience with guerrilla marketing?
Okay.
Trey, we all have a little bit different experience with it.
Yeah. So my career was in advertising and marketing from a more classic sense, but really the guerrilla marketing that I've been involved in has been through Orange Theory. I am a partner in 2 Orange Theory studios. And a lot of the guerrilla stuff came from the early days when no one knew what the brand was. And we were having to, really explain and get people excited about it in the area, because no one knew what it was. And so I guess I can go into some of those tactics and things once we do a little introduction.
Perfect. Yoel, you're on mute. You're acting just like I was. I was talking and I was on mute.
Sorry about that. Hey guys, good to see a lot of you again. Yo Gutierrez, co-owner of Mosquito Joe Miami. It's a mosquito control franchise. Really the guerrilla marketing that I do more of now is more online digital type. So free stuff that we can do online, which I'll get into a little bit later. But it kind of started because I was never marketing. So my background was IT.
Got into Mosquito Joe franchise, pivoted completely. And then out of necessity had to learn marketing, a digital marketing, all these types of things. So I've taken classes, courses, I've given courses on this kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll talk more about that.
I like it. Trey, you're at a place where you can talk.
I am right now. I may transfer to my phone, which is also connected in a little bit, but so I didn't even know what guerrilla marketing was until Liberty Tax Service. I joined that little startup company when there was like 300 offices, and that's pretty much all we could afford to do at the time. And what we found was that it was so much more effective than the stuff that you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on, that we really embraced it and perfected it and evolved it really all throughout that company. And I don't know if you know, but I left, I finally exited Liberty last month. So almost 20 years.
That's awesome, man. That is a big congrats.
Yeah. And worked out well, actually. So very, very excited about that. But yeah, we do a little bit of that here at Mosquito Joe, not nearly to the volume that we did it back then, but we do a lot. So
why don't we go ahead and start with you, Trey, work our way backwards, give us like some of the things that you're doing right now, and then Yoel, and then Chris, if that works. And then then as questions come up, just put them in the chat, and then we'll open it up for some questions. But give us some of the things that you're doing or have done.
So, I am an advertising, a marketing major. I did study marketing. Obviously, the ground stuff takes 7 impressions to get somebody to act. I don't think that those 7 impressions need to come from the same thing. As many different ways as that you can hit them is going to cause a lot more people to react a lot faster. I always talk to new franchisees with Mosquito Joe. One of the things that we do is we put a sign in the yard every time we do a treatment. Well, I think that most franchisees might put a sign in the first time they treat, but then they don't want to spend the money to do it if it's not there 3 weeks later. And from the very beginning, we put a sign in every yard every single time. And, you know, we kind of created a buzz with it where it was like a Keeping Up with the Joneses type thing where people wanted those signs. And I don't know if we did it by accident or whatever, but people wanted to keep, and they kept the signs in their yard. So then we started putting signs at the exit to every one of those neighborhoods when we left. And so then I ordered 1,000 signs, and I only have one at the time only had one territory with Mosquito Joe. And I gave every single technician 20 extra signs every day that they had to put out along their route. And so they did at the exit of every neighborhood, every major intersection. These are like the bandit signs, like real estate type signs that you see on the side of the road. And within a very short period of time, I mean, the 3 guys doing 20 a day, that's 60 a day, you know, 5 days a week, it's 300. Within 3 or 4 weeks, we had 1,000 signs out inside of that one territory. And I swear, you could not drive through my territory without seeing 8 of those different signs anywhere and everywhere you go. And you want to brand or get a name out there, there's not a cheaper, faster, easier way. I get the question all the time, well, did you get calls? Did you get in trouble? We got calls. Did we get in trouble? No. I tried to work with folks that called us. I mean, I always, in that aspect with signs, I'm going to beg for forgiveness, not ask for permission. And, you know, we figured out real quickly where we could put them and where we couldn't. There are ordinances against it in the entire county. It's just certain municipalities enforce it and other ones do not. Outside of the town limits, no one seems to care, and there's signs everywhere. And so there's a couple of municipalities that we've had to learn to work around and work with, but you know, that's been a big thing. And so most franchisees probably put out, 100 signs in a year, and we're putting out 1,000, and the results are about 10 times more, from that. So just being more aggressive around stuff like that. I'll go back to my Liberty Tax days. And when I first started with Liberty Tax was when they first started having the Statue of Liberty stand out on the corner and wave. And when I owned a franchise, I was paying attention to what was happening. When that person was out there waving, there were people walking in the door. When I would bring them in, it would stop. Or if we missed a day, we wouldn't get as many new customers. And the plan, according to Liberty, was to put them out during drive times, put them out in the morning from like 7 to 9, put them out, in the evening from 4 to 7, and that was it. And I realized that it worked better if I just left them out. So I was one of the first franchisees to keep them out, literally put them on, hire someone full-time and literally have somebody out there from open to close or till it was too dark. And sometimes we put spotlights out and other things like that, but the results magnified, and the cost of that was so cheap. People always ask, every day people would ask me, how well does that work? Does that really work? And my true honest answer is, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. The return on investment that you got off of that person standing waving on the side of the road, you wouldn't believe it if I told you how well it works, how much of a buzz it creates, how many people start talking about you. And that's what branding is all about, is it gets people talking, people see it, they see it over and over again, they can't miss it. When they need that product or service, you are the first thing on their mind. And if you're the first thing on their mind, chances are they're gonna buy your product and not your competitor. And that's, to me, that's the essence of guerrilla marketing, is finding inexpensive, different, unique ways to get in front of your customers as many times and as much as you possibly can, and not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. So off the cuff, that's about what I've got. You got anything to add, Eric?
I just a couple points to highlight. I love what you said. If the average franchisee is doing 100 things or signs a year, you're doing 1,000. And that was the difference in Liberty between the people that crushed it and the people that were just doing the minimum. And I remember being out in market with you and Kelly, and I'm like, I'm doing a lot. I'm going to 20 different businesses. And you're like, 20 businesses? You should be doing 100 or 200 businesses. And that just a light bulb went off, and it's like, I'm just playing way too small, and I just need to go all out. And so that is definitely a mindset thing too. But just with guerrilla marketing, you just need to get out to be in front of customers and to be top of mind, like you said. And you just need to go bigger. Always just go bigger, however, whatever that looks like. And the other thing that you said is you need to, instead of asking for permission, you need to ask for forgiveness. That's kind of guerrilla marketing, like mindset as well. You kind of need to have that. Not that you're doing illegal stuff, but you just kind of need to push the boundaries at times. So I remember like going out, same thing with, putting things on cars, like coupons and stuff on cars. The grocery stores didn't like it. It's not like we were doing something illegal. I don't think we were, but we guys got to get out there. And then all of a sudden you see those things start coming into your office and you're making money from it. And it's like, okay, there's an immediate return on some of those things that you do. And that's what I like. That's what I like about it. It's branding and immediate response.
And also with those municipalities that we have issues with, the way around that with some of them is to install them Friday evening and pick them up Friday night.
Yep.
I mean, on a Sunday night.
And guys, some of these guys are just out there doing their job. They could really care less that you have a sign out there. Like that's the last thing that they care about. And then there are some that on Saturday they put on their like, I'm the sign Nazi, and they go out there and they're ready for business and ready to take you down. But most people are doing their job and they could care less.
What Yoel just described is the perfect workaround, and that we used that back in our Cutco days when we were trying to recruit college students. We had teams of like 10 people, and everybody got 25 signs, and so in a matter of about an hour and a half, we would get 250 signs out at all the major intersections, and they would go out and spend about an hour, and they go up, and everybody on Sunday night would go out and pick up their signs and get them all down. And man, we just got huge results from that. And on Monday morning, when the municipality guy came to work, and he was like, well, they're gone. And man, that worked like golden. And it was because at that time they were trying to find some of the, they weren't franchisees, but they were trying to find some of the owners because they were putting out signs. So that's how they were getting around it. Other franchisees, I will say, they just paid the fine. They just said, how much is it? It's $2,000. Who do I make the check out to? And they wrote him a check and they gave it to him. And they're like, and then they left me alone for like a month. And then they came back and gave me another fine. He's like, I'll pay $2,000 a month to do this. It's like, to get this kind of result, it would cost me way more than $2,000. And so they started budgeting fines into their advertising plan every year. And it wasn't like they were fighting anyone or it was like they just showed up and they gave them the paperwork. Great. Okay. Thank you. And they go down and they pay the fine. And they couldn't fine them more than once a month.
Support your local city by paying fines. Like you are doing good in the neighborhood.
Yeah. I never did that, but I know a lot of people who did, and it worked.
That's great. Yoel, go ahead.
Yeah. So my whole thing for digital guerrilla marketing is Google My Business. Now, I want all of you right now, if you do not have a Google My Business listing, when this call is over, go to business.google.com, claim your business or create a new one, create a new profile, because it is one of the best free resources out there that you can do for a local company. Now, Google My Business is basically your business listing online, but now Google has done it to where it's more of a social type platform where you can post updates, you post pictures, but you definitely want to set it up correctly from the get-go. So your description of your business. The last time I checked, Google had over 4,000 different business types, but if it doesn't have yours, pick the closest one, and then to get around people finding you based on your type of business, in the description, make sure you're using up the 2,000 characters and put what you do in that description. Because Google does parse that information. And if somebody's looking for you and they put what your business is, they can usually find you through that. You want to make sure that your info is correct. So your NAP, so your name, address, and phone number, you want that to be the same across your website, all your listing sites, Google My Business, and don't forget your hours too, because if any of that information is off, Google will de-rank you. So they want to see that information the same. So now to the guerrilla marketing part is pictures and posts, more importantly, pictures. So I've done tests where I post 10 pictures, let's say. And in 3 days, when that data goes through the system and you can see the data going through, whenever I put those pictures up, traffic to the website goes up in accordance to that. So Google is rewarding you with traffic by using the platform. So what do I do to encourage Google to send me traffic? I have all my guys, all my technicians on the field, when they're out there, they've been trained to take pictures. So take pictures of water sources, take pictures of properties, you know, of larvae, of whatever they find. So I get a stream of pictures every day. So all I do is transfer those pictures to Google. In my niche, in my industry, I am 3, 4, 5x the amount of pictures as any other company. Those are, I have, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 views on pictures a day. Those are eyes that are not customers that can be customers. I mean, this is, and I'm getting to them for free. This is not like I'm paying for anything. You know, that's a lot of eyes for no money. So that's really the biggest thing I can tell you is the pictures. Posts are good. Make sure that you have your products and services up there, because Google also parses those, and it'll crawl those that information. So when people are looking for a service that you give, and not necessarily what you do or your brand name, they can still find you. So just make sure all that stuff is up, it's correct, it's clear, concise, and add as much info as you can. I mean, anybody have any questions on that? Because it's pretty simple, but it makes a big impact.
That's great, Yoel, and it's easy to forget about Google My Business, but at Mighty Dog, that was a big thing. We spent a lot of time, money, and effort helping franchisees with their Google My Business. So I already sent Yoel and Caleb an email asking him to do a masterclass for Grow on Google My Business, where we can look at examples and different things. And I know Yoel could probably help some people with that as well, if they wanted it, or teach him or whatever. He's fantastic with that. Before we get to Mr. Elmore over there, Ryan Casey, congratulations, man.
Thought we'd do a little quick Zoom bomb. Say hi to the little guy. A couple days old now.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
It's his first appearance.
Does the little guy have a name?
I think we've been debating it all there, but I think it's Cole Sanders Casey. Sanders is mom's last name, middle name.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Mr. Elmore, you are up.
Hey, so this might be a little review for Ryan. Ryan, did you do the orange bikes in your markets? No. So I don't know if everybody knows about this. Some of you might, but when Orange Theory was first starting out, like I said, nobody knew what it was. It was just this gym concept, you know, that no one had heard of. So I didn't create it, but another franchisee did. And what it was they went out and got actual bicycles that were kind of crappy $25, $30 bicycles, full bicycles though, and spray painted them bright orange, got about 25 of them. And you would, like what Trey was saying, you would actually, you know, on a Friday night, you'd go and you'd take them on a trailer and you'd put them and chain them up at these major intersections all around your marketplace. And so once we did this, people started talking in different groups, what's with the orange bikes. They would see one, which was kind of weird, but then, 8 blocks later, 10 blocks later, they would see another orange bike. So it became this kind of viral thing that was happening. Really, I think this was even before or right around when Facebook was actually just kind of getting launched. But it was really just an inexpensive way to get people talking about it. A lot of people would probably wonder, well, like bikes really aren't even really a big component of Orange Theory, but that it really didn't make a difference. I mean, the most important thing was that it was this big, weird, object that didn't cost a lot of money, and it did make some municipalities mad once they caught on to who was doing it. But it probably took over a year for the municipalities to really figure out who was even really behind it. And then what had happened, the secondary benefit was people were finding out that Orange Theory was coming to their neighborhood when these bikes started showing up. So it became this like extra level of excitement that happened, as a result. And so, it was a big pain in the butt to paint all of these bikes, of course. But it became a pretty fun thing to go with your staff, under darkness to go, chain up 25 bikes in our markets. So that was one kind of guerrilla tactic that worked really, really well. Eventually, I think there was postcards that were sent out that were like, what's with the orange bikes, that kind of explained it. But part of the key was there was no logo on these bikes. There was nothing indicating that it was us. So it was true guerrilla, getting people speaking about something happening, in their neighborhood that they didn't quite get. And it just kind of got a lot of excitement. So that's one example that was huge for us when we were just getting off the ground. And another thing that I think that is, I don't know if it's really classically guerrilla, but I think it'll help people in this group, is from a outbound marketing standpoint. Couple things. We require our staff to bring us 2 events every week. And we didn't used to do that. We thought it was actually a manager that came to us and said, this is something that he had done in another business. We were maybe requiring 1 a month, from staff. And so every week now there's 2 events that they have to be out, in the marketplace, whether that's a table at a bank or, at an HR department at a larger corporation. But that was just something when we did require that it really helped our business grow a lot. Another thing is this idea, it's called 40-20-10-5. And what that is for us is we require, or at least it's our goal for our sales staff to bring in 40 leads a week. And then with those 40 leads, your hope is that to get 20 appointments out of those 40. And then of those 20 appointments, 10 show up and 5 will purchase. So 40 leads per week that these sales associates are going out into the marketplace, and they are getting names and phone numbers hand to hand from folks, and that was something that I had never done in any business that I had been a part of, but was just something really aggressive that I think helped spread Orange Theory. As great as it did, was requiring that level of, aggressive kind of marketing out in the marketplace and kind of pounding that ground, if you will, by those sales associates. So I would say those 3 tactics are probably 3 of the biggest that I think that Orange Theory participated in that really helped grow the franchises as fast as they did.
So let's dive into 40-20-10-5 a little bit more. And you said hand to hand. At Liberty, we called it face-to-face marketing. Like you are like looking in the eyeballs, having conversations with people. So can you go into a little bit more of what hand to hand looks like and what like qualifies as a lead and how different tactics on how to get 40 leads that week?
Yeah. So this was something that, again, that we started with, and it was really probably around the time that social media started getting busy. And I think a lot of franchisees now almost rely too much on social media a little bit as a crutch and kind of hide behind it. Whereas, when we hire folks, we hire them and make sure that they understand that they're going to be going out, into the marketplace. I mean, with COVID, it made it a lot more difficult. Now it's getting better. But essentially we would send them out as part of their shift. If at Orange Theory, the middle part of the day is, when there's no classes. And so during that time period, we would send somebody out, and sometimes it works better in groups of 2 because they can kind of have fun with it. But sometimes, you send them out alone, and for 2 hours or 3 hours, like you mentioned, Eric, they're either flyering cars, or we had a little form that was, a VIP free class. And in order for me to give you this VIP free class, what's your phone number? And people, you'd be surprised if you just ask people that they'll give it to you. I was shocked. I'm like, people are just going to give you their phone number. But not everybody does. But the goal is to get an email or a phone number, from that person in exchange for this, VIP class that you're inviting them to. And so
go ahead.
Yep. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, anytime somebody says flyering cars, that they know guerrilla marketing.
Yep. Yeah. Like you said, some people they get mad when it rains because I think the stuff sticks to the cars. But like Trey was saying, like, you can't worry about people getting mad at you. I mean, that's part of guerrilla marketing. The goal is to get get in front of people's faces at any cost, really, and you can't be embarrassed about anything either. A lot of salespeople, they'd be self-conscious about just going up and walking up to strangers and talking about that concept. But that's basically what we did every day, was go find 20 people and come back with 10 leads, and don't come back without 10 leads. I mean, it was kind of the mantra, early on, and we still do it today. I don't know that all franchisees do it, but we are still doing that. We're still making it a requirement of a shift that, like, 2 hours of their shift is outbound. They'll be out in the grocery store just walking up to strangers and talking to them. So
if they feel like they have something of value to give, then they'll do it. And if they're, even to call it the VIP thing, and Trey, it makes me think of like the golden ticket or whatever it was. You have something that you term really cool that people want, and then you can talk about it, and you just give them those words to say how to open up that conversation, and the aggressive people do it. One more question, and then I want to open it up for questions. Anybody on the panel, and guys on the panel, any of you guys have to leave at any time. Just go ahead and drop off. No big deal. Appreciate you doing this. You said the staff needs to bring 2 events every week, or do 2 events every week. I think you said a bank or HR department. Can you expand on that concept a little bit more?
Yeah. So, I mean, in I'm sure all of our markets, there are kind of, complementary services to what your business does. From an Orange Theory standpoint, the complementary businesses are, like, we have Fit Life Foods, which is kind of like a prepackaged meal delivery concept. So we made it a point to go partner with them and have a table, in their location on a regular basis. There used to be Sports Authorities or Dick's, Sporting Goods, and there's lots of different places that will allow you to just have a table out front. For nothing. You really don't have to pay for it. They'll allow it. You just have to talk to the right person within their group. And in other places, you form a partnership with them. They might want to co-market at your location. So they might have someone, in your lobby, once a month or something. You don't probably want to do it once a week, of course, in the same place. But a different partner, for each person every month would probably be a good kind of cadence for that. And then with regard to like the HR departments, we made a big push a few years ago to try to get into the larger companies in our area, not just kind of the retail companies, because we felt that, fitness was something that would be important to those large companies. And if we can get, their workforce to be more fit, then they would be better workers and all those kinds of things, which was a message that resonated with some of those larger corporations kind of in our area. And we would just connect with their HR director and say, listen, we'd like to do a teach and train for 1 hour, for you guys for free. And we'll talk about the benefits of HIIT training and, and just kind of keep it more general about fitness and the benefits. And then, of course, part of that messaging is, why Orange Theory is the place to do that and the place to sign up. But you try to make it a little more general. You're not trying to make it this crazy sales pitch, right out of the gate. You're trying to make it a little more general to something that's going to benefit them.
This is great. So what I like to do now is open it up to anybody. And sorry, I'm looking at comments for private comments coming in. I know all you guys are making, I know you guys tell me that you guys are making all kinds of comments behind the scenes that I don't get to see half the time. So like, I know some of the shenanigans that actually goes on. But I'm not going to look at comments right now. After I ask to open up for questions, then I'll go look at direct messages. So if you are hearing some of this stuff, you're like, I like what Chris said. I'm not in fitness. I like what UL said. I need to get into that master class. You want to ask him some questions now. And the same with Trey, you're not in that type of business, but maybe you're in a different business and you have some questions about yourself or your business specifically. Why don't you go ahead and come on in and ask a question?
Hey, Eric, I'd like to start because I almost pulled a muscle trying to ask Chris a question. I was loving the branding comment.
I saw your face. It's kind of
and then I was like, did he say we could go? And then I didn't, and then I felt like a kid in class. So my bad if I was like distracting. I've been on a creative bender for a couple of days, Chris. So like, it's really cool hearing you talking the branding side of Orange Theory. So David Ogilvy is like one of my favorite branding characters. Yeah. And
he's old school.
What I like about him is he also talks about data and science. So I'm curious around those orange bikes that no one knew what they were. At what point did that tie back into the end of the story so they're aware? And then also, what was it like for the Z's in the early days that maybe didn't believe in branding? Like how open were they to not knowing the ROI or knowing it? I'm curious around that.
Yeah, I think once it was, so anyway, back to I guess the first question. So what we would do is, we would put them out, like I said, in the evening, and then you would just wait and kind of see what, the kind of the reaction. And the majority was like I said, social media was just kind of picking up. And so people started asking in different community boards and things like, what's with that? And so once they'd been out a while, people started, it's like the media actually picked up on it locally and was like, oh, the bikes are this new fitness concept and blah, blah, blah. So we ended up getting all of this like kind of free media out of it because they kind of had some fun with it and were like, what is this all about? And got articles, written online and in print about kind of what it was and what was behind it. So I think generally everybody took it really well. Especially in the early kind of stages in the early days, when we did our second, we thought we wanted to kind of launch again at one studio and create excitement. So we decided to put them out again, a second time, like 3 years into having already been open. That didn't quite go over as well. Those did get, I think the bikes got quarantined by some city agency and we did get fined. $500 or $1,000, and I had fantasies of paying the fine with a giant bag of pennies, but I was told that would be a bad idea. So anyway, so it just kind of became this fun thing that most people, I think most people are bored, I think, on their normal commute daily, and to see something kind of different and fun, as long as it's not garbage these were pretty crappy bikes, but they were, painted bright orange. And so I think people have fun with stuff like that. And I don't think it has to be fitness. I was considering, a pet concept recently and was just thinking about how you could do that, in a different way. And I was thinking like, I know Brian, I think with like the AKT, they might already do this, but you could do like flash mobs of dancers, that just would happen in the middle of a city. So it's really just kind of trying to be creative with your product and how do I do something to kind of throw people out of their normal day a little bit, because everybody's used to, like Trey mentioned, there's thousands of messages coming at people from every direction. So if you don't do something a little different, if you're just doing Facebook ads, then you're not gonna, you're not really stepping out from what all your competitors and thousands of other advertisers are doing on a daily basis. And so I thought it was just super smart. And then you were saying the second question was like, when did we kind of how did it come back around?
Yeah, I think that's so cool and exciting, and I love hearing you talk about it. But if I'm more of a numbers person and I'm not a creative brand person, how were you guys able to show ROI pre-media that this should work? And like,
I mean, yeah, we weren't really concerned from a numbers standpoint, honestly. I mean, we were a brand that no one knew about. So our priority was we just have to get our name out, and we have to do it in some kind of big splashy way. And so I think with guerrilla marketing, I mean, you can't always worry about ROI. I think because you're, like Trey was saying, top of mind is tough to quantify. Sometimes, I mean, you kind of notice when your walk-in traffic increases, like he was saying. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't initially kind of an ROI or a numbers discussion. It was we were just scared that no one was going to know who we were, and had the fear of God in us that we needed to make that happen. So
good. Anybody else?
I have something to add, Jared. This is old Cutco days when they'd flyer and stuff, but it's a lot what Chris had to say. They had a saying in the Northeast called freeze the ground. And what that means is, when the first snow falls, it doesn't stick, but it freezes the ground. It allows the rest of the snow to stick. And that's what a lot of that guerrilla marketing is getting it out. And, the bikes might not have been the thing that made them call, but it was that thing they found out about Orange Theory. And then it was that card they saw the next time. One warning about the bikes I would do is Google for your city if there's anything about bikes. Seattle's a big biking community. And what they do is they put a white bicycle if somebody passes while they're riding their bike. Yeah, and it was very insulting in the Seattle one, so that we weren't the first one. And luckily we didn't have to go through it, but somebody collected all the orange bikes and chained them to the Orange Theory front doors with a padlock. But that was a very Seattle specific thing. And so most of the rest of the country went great. One of the things that we did was if you go on Facebook and look at your city community group. So I'm in Bothell. Most of you probably never heard of City Bothell, but the Bothell community group, when we opened in 2015, had 7,000 people in it. Now it has 30,000 people in it. So what we used to do is when we were in pre-sales, we'd have the Orange Man, right? So your mascot. And we would say, hey, find the Orange Man this week. He's going to be buying coffees at this location sometime this day. And what would happen is that would help gather groups of people, where then our people would be somebody in the orange suit. They'd draw straws, short straw, wore the orange suit, and then one other person with them. And that's where they'd pass out the free workout cards or do that. But it helped us kind of gather people all in one place. And it allowed us to use the community group for advertising, because they don't normally let you use them for advertising. But because we were giving away free coffees, we kind of bypassed that.
Yeah, that's great.
So that was my 2 cents.
Yeah, I forgot about the orange suit. I mean, that was like super corny. But again, it's like you just can't worry about it. I've worn the Orange Man suit out on a highway, with a sign before, and you can't be above anything, and your staff will have fun with you doing it too if you participate with them. So yeah, you can't be above anything.
So many memories, Trey. So many memories.
Yeah, I was like, man, I wonder if I could find that picture of me standing on top of the Liberty Tax Hummer in the outfit, waving on the side of the road at passerbys. But
Please find it.
One of your questions, Jared, is about other franchisees, and I mean, most of guerrilla marketing is going to be out of most people's comfort zone.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, it's out of mine too. And I had to force myself to do the things I didn't want to do. And, as an area developer with Liberty, I mean, I spent almost a month and a half, probably every year, literally going from office to office, dragging the franchisee out of their office. And I would buy 50 dozen donuts, and I would take them to the 50 closest businesses, and I would introduce them to the business. And I'm in full costume, and they're walking behind me like, oh my God. But it was a very positive experience. Like, they're like, wow, they met all these people. They would get customers, and I would take them out, and I would take them back, and I'd say, you need to do this every day. And I said, what happened today is great, but whether this worked or not, it depends on whether you're going to go and buy those donuts tomorrow morning and go and do it. And most of them will not. I mean, it probably 25% of them you would get through to, and they would go and do it, but it's always going to come down to you're going to find out who's in the top 10% really quick.
Brian Davis talked about franchise ramp once. I'm pretty sure the PTSD from Liberty Tax with him being an introvert was the reasoning that he launched franchise ramp, because he's like, never again am I going to do what Trey just described. I think he played that once. And I was cracking up now hearing you say, I'm like, wow, he probably paid for therapy and then got it paid for by franchise ramp after he launched it due to that experience.
That's awesome. Anybody else have questions, or do you, and again, we can be specific to your situation. I mean, if you're like, hey, I've got this, I'm trying to figure out how do I guerrilla market with this thing, or do you have a guerrilla marketing tactic or strategy that you've used that's been successful? Linda, I see your hands up. You're next.
Yes, I have a question. Chris Elmore, you were talking about the corporate sales and going to the HR departments and all that, which I love because that's just such a huge opportunity to leverage it with numbers. And then connecting that to what Eric and Trey were saying about, don't go for 10 leads, go for 100, 200, like think big. How do you do that when, most of your wellness advisors or what have you probably aren't the ones that are equipped to talk to the HR, and it's people, the owners and the partners, but how do you multiply that? How do you go big with just few numbers of people who can talk to corporations?
The way we handled it was our store manager she kind of took on the part of reaching out, doing the initial reach out. And then we had our head coach who was, a little more trained and versed, and obviously certified as a coach, do the actual, probably in tandem with her, do the presentation, to their staff. And a lot of times it wasn't presenting to hundreds of people. I mean, it was usually like during lunch, we were happy if we got 30 people. And then if, 3 people signed up, then that's, if you do the ROI on 5 people signing up and the average, length of membership is 6 months, and, you do the math out. I mean, it's just, it can be exponential because you're in front of 30 people or 50 people instead of 1-to-1, all the time. And sometimes it was kind of a long pathway. I mean, with these big companies that, you approach them one time and they're like, okay, go away. Or, come back in 3 months kind of a thing, or they'll schedule, a lot of times their schedule's booked out and they'll say, well, we can fit you in 9 months. And we would just stay on that calendar and say, well, then we'll take that, we'll take anything you can give us to get in front of your folks, kind of a thing. So that's how we handled it.
Okay.
And just know it's it's a process with those larger places. It's not always you're going to get an affirmative right away. And sometimes the first person you speak with, of course, doesn't have the power maybe to say yes. So you just kind of have to kind of follow that process till you get to someone who has the ability to say yes.
How do you eat an elephant, Linda?
One piece at a time.
Right.
Right. And it doesn't have to be Fortune 500.
I'd say that's you got to break it down to, giving each guy 20 signs a day. He knew he could do that. If I said we got to go put out 1,000 signs, that's really hard. But everybody putting out 20 a day was doable along their route. And in 3 weeks, we had the 1,000 out. With putting out, the people that are the best at this, just naturally, they kind of do it naturally. But I think about one of our top franchisees, and he didn't allow himself to come into his store until after noon. And so literally he didn't allow himself, because what I find most franchisees doing is they're in there fixing the printer. I don't know why that was like the biggest thing. Eric, you remember fixing the printer at the Liberty Tax store? And it was like the stupidest, worst use of an owner's time ever. But whoever was there is going to be fixing the printer. And if you weren't there, someone else is going to have to figure it out. And then they learn how to fix the stupid printer. But it was just that one ringing phone that you just had to get your hands on. But if you weren't there, and so training franchisees that you're not allowed to come in until you've been to this many businesses or whatever. And you got to start out with something they know they can do, and they just get in that habit and that routine, and then they start seeing the results, from it. So,
Linda, there's also a good book called Go for No. That basically changes. Go for No. It basically changes your mindset as to if you're out selling and it takes you 10 people to get a yes, stop worrying about the yeses, worry about the no's, and make that the goal instead. So it's a very good book on that.
And one quick follow-up, what was your best approach to reach out to the HR people at these corporations? Like just send them a LinkedIn message or try to find a connection to introduce you with a warm, intro, or how did you guys do that?
Who's that for?
Anyone.
So if I could chime in, I used to connect. I used to own a Massage Envy, and I actually used to send FedEx envelopes to the HR people, right? Think of yourself and what you open. So it's kind of a way to get past the gatekeeper. And then I would probably have a gift certificate or something for them to come in and enjoy a massage. And then it's an opportunity, come in, get a free massage, and let's talk, give me 5 minutes to pitch what we've got to offer your organization. It was at least a way to get them to open it and read it and experience it.
That's great. Thank you.
There's another, this is it's something that I remember anyway. I don't know how helpful it's going to be. I remember when I'd go in with Trey, we'd go into a business, and you typically want to go talk to the first person that is at the front desk. And that was always a mistake. You wanted to go and talk to the first person that's smiling at you. That is receptive to you, and bypass the idiot at the front desk that has a frown. That's the gatekeeper. So however that might apply to you in whatever it is, go for the person that's welcoming you versus the person that might have the title or that is the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Linda, did you get an answer to that question, or did you want to follow up? You got it? Okay, cool. Lee, your hand's up.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, I was writing down notes as to what Linda said. That was pretty much what my question was as well, in terms of any suggestions for how to break in, and I don't have a problem with hearing no. I'm pretty persistent, but I also like the point on in terms of partnering with brands that may be similar to yours. But any other feedback on things that I can look for, ways that I can approach, and who to look for when you're going into some of these businesses to build that rapport or build that relationship with them to be able to market there. And more specifically about putting a table out front. Anybody?
Who wants to take that one?
I'll say something, Lee, around the table. Be thinking about friction too, and best use of your time. I get really bummed when my wife or our GMs they get all excited and they go after one strategic partner neighbor and the person doesn't call back. Well, they don't get strategic partnerships. So what I'd recommend is starting online, and who are the local businesses in your little world where your premieres are or whatever, the ones that are actively posting, maybe tagging people in their community. If you see them active, I'd start a conversation on social and start to get cross tagging there, et cetera. And then say, hey, we'd love to give you some stuff for free. Who's the right person to speak to when you have a little trust build? But think of it like sales. If you go in, build your avatar, like Eric would say. I'm looking for a manager who's creative, maybe younger, and they're going to get and they're going to get it. And if they don't get it right away, if they're asking why should I do this, not how, just kindly get out of there and move on. But build up a 20 person little CRM in a Google sheet, and then organize accordingly, and then go from there versus one or a random, better use of your time.
Thank you.
So can I ask a quick question?
No.
If you're finished, Lee.
I'm finished.
She wasn't asking me, especially when I said no.
Eric, if I could reach through this computer. No, I am currently in the world's least sexy business. And so I love the ideas of, Orange Man at the coffee shop, all that good stuff. I'm in the laundromat business. So anyone have any creative ideas on how to get out in the community with a character.
So
you can hire my father, Charlie Muntz, who owned a laundromat and would walk around in his underwear.
That's good. I'm going to suggest that to our franchise owner.
Terry, you could have a ton of fun on social with that. A ton of fun on social with that.
Okay.
I mean, that's where my mind goes immediately. You can just, have like the dirtiest clothes going in and all of a sudden new stuff popping out. I mean, just at your location. So I would be all over social on that. And like, I don't know any other laundromats that are doing anything remote like that and remotely close to that. And then the other thing is email Caleb. I just put out a new thing, a Google form that you could send to your new franchisee. Cause I know you're an area developer there. Send it to the new franchisee, have them fill it out. I got a 15-minute training with that form and it will help you create a good amount of content based on the feedback that they give you on that form. So that'll help you get new franchisees. Or could help you get new franchisees. So get with Caleb on that. It'll be ready here probably next week. But I would definitely be thinking like, what could I do to have a ton of fun on social? I'd start looking at YouTube channels or just Google like YouTube or videos with laundromats, fun, things like that. That'll probably give you some different ideas on what you can do. But I would probably start there because you can do a ton on social. I just think skid marks, you can do some, but probably not the best thing to do. But
I actually get a call from our franchisee the other day. He said they had their first poop bag, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Apparently it was for the wash dry fold business. Someone like gave them a laundry bag that had a bunch of poop in it, like within the clothes. And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
it's a real thing. He said, yeah, I heard it was going to happen.
Oh my, I like flyering better than knowing poop bag.
Right. I mean,
any other thoughts on that? That's interesting. Like, what would you do from a guerrilla marketing standpoint for a new laundromat that just opened up?
Interesting.
Retail laundromat.
I mean, this just popped in my head, but I mean, I know that
retail,
at least around here, like high school groups will do car washes at places. Maybe you could invite high school groups to do car washes in your parking lot, and maybe there's just some kind of connection about getting your car clean and your clothes clean, kind of thing.
Oh, that's cute. Mm-hmm.
At least it'll get people's eyeballs on it, and then the kids are there doing their thing to raise money for their high school sport, but they're at least you could do some kind of co-branding there, too. And I think there's something about clean there.
Yep.
I don't know
like that. Clean, wash. There's definitely something there that you could have fun with.
Yeah.
We don't want your dishes in here, but we want your clothes, or
what about getting some giant bubble makers, like big, like the ones that can make huge, amazing bubbles?
Oh yeah, those ginormous. Yeah.
Yeah, and what about just having people around town just going to town with giant bubbles? I think people would and that's something that won't hurt anybody else's things,
right.
And it would just be something kind of nice. I mean, bubbles make people happy. So if you have someone just making giant bubbles at an intersection, like I said, maybe it doesn't have your logo on it. Maybe you have 10 different people doing it and they're like, what is with all these people doing bubbles all over town?
Oh my God. Right. That's so cool.
So even if you want to get into different apartments or places where your ideal customers live, you can bring bubbles to them or give bubbles to their kids or host something like that. So I love that idea, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very creative.
Jared, go ahead. What was your thought?
Well, I was posting in the chat as well. I made a joke about asking the community what's the most fun thing you've done in a laundry room.
Stop.
I also think it would be cool to reach out to like your local Yoga Sixes. Maybe you do like a Yoga Six pop-up in your laundromat, or like any type of I would want to know your target market and who those customers are. So can you share that? Like who are some of your target market?
Yeah, well, this laundromat's in probably 80% Hispanic community.
All right, cool. So they love soccer. I would put together a little soccer pop-up for kids, inside the laundry room, little indoor soccer, whatever, make it super fun, lots of treats, specific to that community. And then, while they're there, it's here is a free something to come back and use, $5, $10, whatever, but you just earn trust. You provided a little safe space for their kids to play soccer, build your email list, whatever. Like there's a lot to go into that, but
Cute. Love it.
I think that would drive a lot of business for your specific target market, which is probably not a Yoga 6 collab, but
Right.
a local. And then you could find like the local soccer coach leaders, because they say that referrals from a coach count for like way higher. So if Eric Van Horn refers me to something, it's like immediate trust. Whereas if someone random refers you, it doesn't matter. So if you found like those local soccer coaches who are the community leaders, probably not getting paid a lot to do it, and empower them with something, free laundry for a month, etc. Don't tell them to share because I did that. Just give it to them and host the event for their people. You'll build that trust, and then have in your operational code follow-ups 1 or 2 after. So when you do ask, when you're ready to ask for the tell your friends, which you're probably already getting business, my guess, they're going to say to you before you even ask them, what can I do for you now?
Nice.
You're just going to be like, boom.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it. Yeah. You guys really made laundry exciting. It's
Yeah.
not-
And I'd try to think about doing laundry happy hours. You know, if you have,
like a meetup, like singles meetup type thing.
yeah, like you can have churros or something like that, you know, something like caters to your market.
Sure. I love it.
So
a fun character, you know, out there waving at traffic with a big laundry basket and dropping stuff on the sidewalk and picking it up and putting it in there, but just making people laugh and waving at them and their kids. I mean, if it's retail and it's drive-by and it's walk-in,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get more people to look at your business, you know, and what is that? What? Oh, and they connect it to even putting the name of the business on the laundry basket or something. I mean, it's just, you know, how many cars a day drive past there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
A
know,
lot. A lot. He's got
50,000. You know, how many of those 50,000 you think drive by and look and read your sign? If you've got somebody waving at them,
Right.
your impressions goes, I mean, through the roof.
Wow.
He's simple and inexpensive.
Yeah.
But you need a fun character making people laugh. Their job is to make people smile back, make people wave back. So they're out there smoking a cigarette. That's not gonna get it.
So you guys are really sparking some creativity. You know, I'm going to go back also to the Orange Man, find the Orange Man. That's like, where's Waldo? So when you post in the community Facebook groups, also post a picture of you with Waldo, right? And then you can come in and get a free wash or whatever, right? So now that Facebook page is blowing up, or that group with pictures of Waldo. Or whomever. I love it. Yeah.
People love things that just take them out of their normal grind, you know.
Right.
So just
you're thinking about kids. A lot of parents, I think, I don't know if it's for your laundromats or where the demographics, but they got to bring their kids with them. So I know some laundromats are focused on having a library and somebody reading to the kids. So if it's after school hour, there's somebody reading to the kids or something like that. So, you know, that might be helpful. But how do you make it easy for them to bring their kids? Or maybe you don't want the kids there and you don't do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Very creative. Thank you guys.
100%. Anybody else like want eyes on your business like we just put them on Terry's laundromat business? We don't. I want. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll go for it. Why not?
Yes.
There's all sorts of good ideas there. So, yeah. So we're 100% virtual now, even though I have a local territory. Just wasn't working out with COVID, having kids in these centers, and so some of our locations still having kids. But so we had coding school for kids, ages 7 to 17. And so, yeah, if you have any ideas about any sort of local guerrilla marketing or even broader, because virtually I can be anywhere. I even have a few people overseas, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's what I got. Any good ideas?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, since yours is more, because you don't have that retail component, so that's not a need, for you.
Who's
Who's
your
the ideal
target
customer?
market?
Who's my ideal? Was that?
Target market,
Right.
ideal customer.
Yeah. So, in general, I mean, the obvious one is we take kids ages 7 to 17. So any parent in that age group, but more broader, when you think about groups, it's like Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, taking the whole troop, or after school program or homeschool program, things like that are pretty cool. Like we help kids get badges and Girl Scouts, for instance.
Jim, can I probe on you a little deeper for top experience? So for me, what I find like with kids, it's like you got two customers to market to. You have the kid and the parent. So I would be thinking about, like you said, ages, and I'm thinking introverted coders, like more something like that. But I would want to know the kid themselves, like doing customer surveys with those kids to learn more about, like, what do you like to do? What do you do for fun? What social media you're on? And like looking for those kinds of patterns to see where they're at online. Because people typically who want to code, they hang out online. They don't hang out in person. So I want to go guerrilla marketing online. And then I'd also want to look at their parents. What are their parents like? Are they like tech professionals that just want their kids to code and try to learn that? And if that's the case, then I'd be looking in your local market for, what are the more tech savvy businesses, and present them with some type of free thing for their kid to try it out so they can start to learn what mommy and daddy are talking about. And that's where I would personally start, is like looking across both of them, because you got to get two people to say yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I know that's always the bizarre thing. It's like, who are you marketing to? Like you snag the kid, but then maybe the parent's not into it or something, or vice versa, like you said.
It's like you need a kid who wants to code, is excited about it, but also a supportive parent who believes in coding. Because sometimes it's like the gamers out there. Parents are like, "Oh, my kid won't get out the video games," and all I'm thinking is, there's people out there making 7 figures being a video gamer. And that's what you're saying. And there's video game coaches online. Like that's not going to match, because kid's going to ask, parents going to say no. But the ones that support or will do the coaching with. So like there's a person I know, he does Minecraft. His kid does Minecraft coaching, and he does it with his son, with the coach. So he can learn and help his kid more. So that could be interesting. Like, I don't know if you help the parents code as well, but don't charge them.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's definitely a great magnet, Minecraft and Roblox. And that's a lot of the advertising. And it's like, is your kid addicted to playing endless Roblox games? It's like, why not have them create a Roblox game? And then that's a great snag for the parents, because they're like, yeah, I'd like that. And then the kid's like, Roblox, okay. So that probably is our number one way to get kids through that. So that's a good catch.
As a parent, yeah, I want to know what my kids are into. So inviting them, the parent, to be part of that, love it.
There's something else. I remember being at I think it was an Apple store in Florida. I think it was an Apple store in Florida during the pandemic, and they had like robot or coding something going on, and in like the middle of the store, like somewhere just outside of the store. And I thought, man, that's really cool. I actually stopped and looked and thought this would be cool for my kids to do. So, even if there's different pop-ups that you can do with that to make the parents realize like, oh, this is what it really is, where the kids be like, I want to be like them. So, I mean, like it says coding rocks behind you. It's like, make coding's fun. And like, I don't know anything about coding, but I definitely remember I'm talking to you guys about it. I remember being at Disney World over there in Florida, meeting up with Chris. That was fun for the first time. But I remember that coding thing or robot thing at the Apple store. So it's stuck in my mind. That's a guerrilla marketing deal.
Yeah. Cool.
Facebook groups. I don't know if there's anything that you can do with Facebook groups Are you guys, anybody doing anything with Facebook groups, whether your own or others right now within CodeWiz?
Yeah. Parent Facebook groups, they're pretty much gold, because if you can get in there, can't always get into them. But if you have a loyal parent that's in there, and that's gold, because parent posts in there like, what is my kid? And your loyal parent's like, CodeWiz. It's like, yeah, that's if I could have 1,000 of those, like 100 of those, whatever.
What about Facebook?
It's tough to get parents.
Yeah. What about Facebook reviews?
Yeah, we do have some. I've been trying to do more Google reviews. Like, which ones do you prefer?
I think, I don't know, but I know that we have this service that's here that brings dinner to the family where it can just warm it up, and we get like 3 meals a week. And my wife and I love it. She really loves it. And so the lady's like, hey, can you give us a Facebook review? And I hate doing reviews, and I hate going and doing stuff like that. But I did it because I'm like, this is great. And I wanted to help her out. So it was a Facebook review, but the only reason I said Facebook is because of Facebook groups. So if they're, if they're on Facebook, they're going to go to Facebook and look at reviews. And then you can always probably post, like share that at different times or something like that. We got a new Facebook review, and then some parent might recognize that of your friends with them.
Yeah, that's good.
What else? Any other, just a quick question. What are people doing in CodeWiz that seem to be working for guerrilla marketing tactics or neighborhood or free?
Yeah. Interestingly, digital marketing, just straight up digital marketing, seems to be completely dead. like I've spent thousands on like just paying a digital marketing, great ads, A/B testing, landing pages, dead. It's been more personal reach out to parents, these Facebook groups. Yeah, honestly, if I could get into one of the problems mentioned earlier was I'm remote now. I'm not in the area of where my franchise is right now. But very effective. We found, I also have Ridge Hemp CBD company.
Yep.
Going to these farmers markets, it's gold. You talking to the customer directly there, like, yeah, you sell stuff and that's great, but the email list that you build and just getting the the face-to-face where they trust you, like if I could be doing that locally, that would be great. And that has been effective for some of them.
You have a team local?
So yeah, I don't right now. And that was the earlier problem. It's like hiring as well. So yeah, I'm kind of working on both fronts. Just, yeah, if I could get a local hotshot team, then yeah, that would solve a lot of problems.
There are guerrilla marketing teams or groups. Has anyone used them? Your pre-opening marketing and stuff? I've never had to use one.
I've never used them either. What about, like, I like to own them. So here's the thing. I got Franchise Secrets, right? Franchise Secrets Facebook group. There's 1,600 people in there. I'm the authority in there, and I'm not selling stuff. Maybe like once every 2 months or 3 months, I'll say, hey, I'm starting a mastermind. Anybody interested? And then I get a bunch of applications. But the point of it is I'm the authority in that group and people come into it. So could you be the authority in your region for that, where you have a Facebook group for parents, even just a parent group? Maybe it's the broader parent group and you are helping with that, or you're the parents of, people that want to code, or whatever that demographic is. The non-sports parents, or I don't know what that demographic is, Jim, but if you could own that group, where I'd be thinking about it, how can I get the parents group to also want to join this group? What could I give them of value, or what would they want to get in this new group that they're not getting in their current group? I don't know what that is, but that's the kind of the cap that I would have on to be thinking like that. If you did want to do that, I'm not saying it's the best idea, but if you own a group, it's the longer term play, but you've got their attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. You know, I try and do that in some of the parents groups, like, you know, just answer any old computer question or, you know, or anything like that, and just gets my name out there. But yeah, owning the group is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can buy groups. People buy Facebook groups. You can buy those groups. Yeah, I would even look at that, man, across the nation. If you could buy a parent group somehow, then you own that. And if you don't have any territory restrictions, then you can just dominate that. So that's a really interesting idea, buying a Facebook group, and that way you own that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So also, like, what are they in these Facebook groups? Look at them and see what are they doing? What are they responding to? What posts get a lot of attention? So just go in the group, see which posts get a lot of attention, a lot of comments and all that, and see what it is. And if you see like, oh, they're donating to this charity, or they're talking about this, or they're doing that, could you tie something to that charity, or could you do something like they're doing? So watch what they're doing in these groups, see what gets the most attention, and can you do something similar to tie into the same type of thing to get the attention.
Yeah. It's good.
Good. Jared, do you have a couple minutes to kind of like tie into the thing that you were wanting to tie in? Because we were going to talk about social media marketing, but we are not going to be talking about social media marketing because it's already almost 4:30 over here, and I've been going all stinking day long, and I've got the whole Scale Mastermind tomorrow. But I know that you have some comments. So do you want to share that now, or do you want to save that for the next time?
I'm happy to wrap with like 3 to 5 minutes of how to use social media in a guerrilla marketing format.
Perfect.
And then also,
but that's not getting you out of our next one, man. That's not getting you out of the next panel.
I love it. I'm living the dream over here. You know, I'm feeling great. We got teams doing their things, and I get to hang out with you guys talking marketing, you know, and hanging out with Chris hearing about Orange Theory early days, and Trey and his mosquitoes and Liberty Tax. So this is so fun. And also I did want to say, Eric, Caleb did give me controls to share the screen and co-host. So if people wanted to stay a few extra minutes with me talking social media, I'll stay and you can go and relax.
Okay.
But that's only if you're down with that.
Sounds good.
So let me share my screen. So I wasn't in the Cool Kids Club with Liberty Tax or Cutco, but I did some guerrilla marketing back in my day. This is me back in 2010. I was going to a beach soccer tournament. So I launched onlinesocceracademy.com. We have hundreds of videos. We charge for those. Now it's just, we have a soccer camps business and our free videos drive traffic. But back then we charged for videos. So I was going to a beach soccer tournament in California with an internet company. And I was marketing like a small business. Now I'm proud of this, but it's not good. Like I like to think like a tech company, act like a small business. So this is me only acting like a small business. So what I did was I made a short video announcing to the event that I was going to be coming, and I had this Cajun accent, and I took this alligator and I dragged it around the beach in California with me. So some people might have seen this video or maybe not. And people didn't even look at me dressed in this outfit. But when my alligator bumped into them, that was about 5 feet behind me hanging on a fishing string, they started laughing and got real curious. And
funny.
And then that started the conversation around what is Online Soccer Academy, okay? Which is great small business marketing. Having said that, it's terrible tech marketing. At the end of that weekend, I was exhausted, ready to pass out. My alligator was deflated. I'm eating a funnel cake to survive. And I see a tweet from Gary Vaynerchuk about he wants stories for his Crush It book for like who's using social media. And I thought I was using social media, but I like, anyway, I DM'd him. He replied, want your story. By the next day, I was like, I'm now in his Crush It book, which is pretty fun. If you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is,
that's awesome.
One of the legends of social media. So I guess I share that as more of a, you know, my first ever comment was this video sucks. And now we have hundreds of videos with 35+ million views. And these are all free, driving traffic to our soccer camps. So what I would start to think about for you guys now is one of the calls we had with Eric was this guy who said, don't do random acts of tax prep or tax strategy. And I think that applies here. Don't do random acts of guerrilla marketing or social media, and start with, I'm just going to make friends with people, and then start with like why and who and where. You know, the way Eric asked questions about avatars, like you should be asking yourself about that before you do anything. You know, ideas are cool for Terry, but if you give her an idea for a Yoga 6, but she's got 80% Hispanic, it's not going to work. And then, you know, how does that all tie into the strategy, which ties into marketing? So what I like on social media, you can do guerrilla marketing via comments and tagging. So back in the day for Twitter, you could do like a hashtag search on a zip code. Maybe you could still do that. And I could talk to people locally. But what I would suggest is like drawing a circle within your marketing radius and go viral in that 10-mile loop. 200 views is a big deal in that 10-mile loop. It's not a big deal if you're trying to go national, but that's not what most of us are trying to do in a franchise environment. And then what I also think about is, you know, when you do give out that flyer, also give them a link on their phone to get something free. Now you're capturing customer data. Flyers go in the trash, customer data goes in your CRM, and that goes in your operational code for a follow-up over time. And I like to think about like offline, online. You know, how can I create that loop? I want to bring them in here and I want to bring them to social. I want to bring them to social and then bring them offline. And I think there's like interesting ways you can do that. From a referrals standpoint, go guerrilla on referrals. So instead of just like Eric, I think Eric said, I hate doing a Facebook post, or like I hate doing a referral, probably because it's hard and it's a lot of work for him. But if you build into your ops code the exact script that your sales rep should do 2 days after he purchased from you, he paid, like they just paste it in and it's one tap and he's writing. Even better, it would be what my COO did for his dad's car repair shop, taking it from 200K to 1 million in revenue in like 3-ish years. And part of that was a referral strategy, because they did 90% of their business was repeat customers. Those are going to age out. The young and up and comers are searching trusted mechanic New Orleans. So they need to rank high in reviews. So what he would do is in the operational code, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Like in something like this. So like new customer signs up, they start here, like however your team moves them across the onboarding. Once the sale is done and they've left, it's not over. At this point, it's like on the 2-day follow-up, what he does, and what we, you know, worked on this together for his dad's company, was don't start with the referral. Start with, how did everything go? Any problems? Anything we can do to help? And if someone did have a problem, now you've caught it. Because if I had a bad experience and then someone asked me for a referral, it's like, I mean, I'm not even going to ask you what you would say and post it in the chat. If it's bad, you catch it, you fix it, and win that customer back. If it's great, thank you so much. We're so happy to hear that. You take their exact text, quote, put it into your script. So now all they have to do is tap, copy and paste and click, increasing your, you know, chances that they're going to click on that. And it didn't take long, and their reviews went up. They ranked higher in Google. And like what Yoel talked about, like that little thing I described is great. But if you don't have Google My Business and these other things set up, now you're just thinking like a small business and not a tech company. Like make it easy for the tech to show you in the results. And that is a big thing I learned not long after that beach soccer trip. Like I can't be on the beach all day trying to get a small segment of people to use a thing that's meant for worldwide. I started learning about SEO. And all of a sudden it was like I was posting videos that said like how to kick a soccer ball. And like that thing has 1.5 million views over time. And the tech just did it, not me. And then I could like be in the pool or be on tribe masterminds like this. So give that guerrilla attitude of going hungry, but apply it to like sitting on your couch with a drink in your hand. And I think there's some interesting things you can do. And if we go into, Eric, do you want to get off here? I'm realizing we're 5 minutes.
I'm 5 minutes over, man. I'm 5 minutes over and I'm responding to text messages.
I'll stop.
Do you guys know this is good? Anyone that has to go, feel free to go. Jared's going to stick around for a little bit. I'll stick around for a little bit as well. I'll go on mute myself, but we'll see some of you guys tomorrow, and then we'll be get ready for some master classes, everyone. Thanks for showing up today. I thought it was really good. Anybody else like the format of like groups like this, kind of helping each other out and then helping each other out too? Cool. We'll be switching it up. All right, keep going, Jared.
All right, sweet. I'm on like a creative bender right now too, guys. The last week or so, like launching brands in the background, and so this is really fun for me. So if I'm talking more faster than I normally do, I got whiteboards covered, notes everywhere. It's just really fun. So going viral in the local community. Think tagging, cross tagging, and chatting. So for example, let me share my screen. Post a comment in the chat with just like a 1 if you were at the Spearfish event and or you wanted to be there. All right, so franchise secrets. This is one of the Facebook groups that Eric, references. And what I think is like a mindset of go viral in your local community. If you can't get into a Facebook group, maybe there's a way to kind of create one. But let's just say you're in a local Facebook group. Think of it as making friends offline. Would you go up to someone and just throw like a pitch in their face? No. I think Eric talked about like earlier, free content. Gary Vaynerchuk says jab, jab, hook. So right here on the first day of the event, I grabbed a photo of Eric and Justin talking and tagged them and gave them a big shout out. So this was a local event with 30 people, but I brought it online to the 1,000+ people in the community and gave him and Justin shout outs, which links into their world. And I guess what I'm trying to share is I'm giving, calls the business of free. I'm earning trust. This is like valuable. This was a really cool moment he was sharing, and now there's a photo of it. And I did similar things like this throughout the week, just sharing, tagging. The more you start to do that, the more people start to come in towards you. You just have to understand it's a longer game of winning the relationship. Like I shared with Terry, don't ask for the sale. Do something else for free, and it's gonna come before you even have the chance to ask. And for me, this was kind of cool moment. I did not know Justin Donald before this event. He had mentioned me once on a Zoom call after I asked him questions. I tagged him in a funny post 2 days ahead of time for this, in like a Front Row Dads group we're in. And at the end, this is the comment he shared with me, or shared on this post, which is pretty fun. Like, that's a big relationship win. Now, what I would be thinking for you guys is like, who's the Justin Donald in your local community? And how do you get them to tag you in something? What can you be doing for them for free? And sometimes it's just high value, low cost. Sometimes it's just a shout out or commenting or sharing. And these comments, they have eyeballs on them. So if it's 2 minutes of your time to write one sentence, take 3 and write 2. Because
are you talking to me right now?
No, I'm not talking. and this is, you should be your authentic self, which is what I love about Eric. He is his authentic self, and that is great. And people are drawn to him and they love him. And if you don't like that, then move on. Are there times I would love him to write one more sentence? Maybe, I don't know. But he's got so much knowledge in there. You got to like probe it out of him a little bit. Different subject. But what I'm saying is, think of it like an ad and brand impressions. Yeah, don't be annoyed that you have to write this comment. You're writing an ad, because I write comments in our groups, and I'm pretty sure lots of you see them. Those are brand impressions. That's 100 minutes of people reading. That's going viral in the small community. So that, and like the guerrilla side of it, like comments that scale. And what's also neat about that is you're out there winning the relationship game in your community, because there might be that customer who reads that comment and they're like, wow, look at CodeWiz telling people how to use tech on their phones so their kids can be safe. That's something everyone in your community probably needs in the age demographics I heard. Not everyone's going to become a customer, but are you going to build some goodwill in the community by keeping kids safe online? Oh my goodness, yeah, you are. You know, Trey with mosquitoes. You're out there giving mosquito tips for free online. It's just like constant little brains for you. And the next step, you know, what I would suggest is in your operational code, in your training, is you're writing your guidelines and your formats and et cetera. So your team is out there doing it from their couch when they're working in their underwear. You know, here's 3 comments that you can start a conversation with. I think Southwest Airlines trains people, they're already funny, but they give them like 3 or 4 stories to pull from. You know, Cameron Harold, when you hear him speak, he's always using the same 3 or 4 stories until he comes up with the next batch. That way your people are thinking less and acting more. I'm going to be quiet now. If anyone would like to ask questions, I have the reins of the Zoom we're on. So have at it.
So I was just curious about the first story you started with. I like all these stories you shared. I think they're super effective, what you're talking about. But just complete curiosity, you know, about the alligator thing. So you did that on your own personal thing, and then you moved that over to your brand? Like you talked about that, like jump starting. But now at this point, you've got, anytime you post a video, it seems like you're not doing any advertising or
I
anything.
haven't posted a video in like 3 years because my strategy didn't support it. I love those videos. They take 10 hours to produce. They're so fun. And we have a detailed process to get them from idea to end. But our personal strategy was, my wife's going to have our first kid. I'm going to be around more. We're going to help her Pure Barre succeed. This was pre-Exponential Fitness. So I needed to support Hormar as a father. So that meant not growing OSA. Now, thankfully, because I did all that work, it's just like, you know, we get 50,000+ views a month, tons of website traffic, and it all drives to our camps business, where now we just kind of throw up a registration form and people sign up. And I haven't released a new video or had our coaches release a new video in years. And then the alligator, you know, that was me early days doing the guerrilla marketing thing. Like I'll show up at coaches events, like a huge soccer conference. And I had a tech startup, and we were funded and we had some money, and it was called StatUp. And the CEO, he's like, all right, Jared, we need to be the biggest booth there. We had like a $5K budget. And I started doing like Google image searches on this convention. And some of these booths were like huge, 50 grand easy setup for some of these companies. So I told him, I go, hey man, we won't be the biggest, but we'll be the most memorable. And one of our brand colors was green. We had green pants, white Stan Smith's Adidas shoes, and we killed it. You know, and so that's why I always smile when Trey and them are talking about the statues, because it's that's what we had to do on a budget. But doesn't mean that's what you have to do. It's just more around the strategy, the market.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One comment I'll make, you know, Jared, is you brought this up numerous times in what you're saying, and when I think about guerrilla marketing, a lot of times it involves giving away something for free. At Liberty Tax, every year, every office was required to do 100 free tax returns every year in the month of March when we were slow, and that helped to grow our business during a slower time. You know, some of the most successful Mosquito Joe franchisees still do free first sprays. You know, and so if you can figure out a way to do something, Bob asked me about what sign company I used, and it's AGE Graphics. which is not a Mosquito Joe vendor. And this company was trying to get into Mosquito Joe. And they're like, how do you do, you know, how can we, you know, get into this great market of Mosquito Joe? Well, they're owned by Neighborly, huge conglomerate, all these big vendors and connections. And you don't want to be a vendor with a company like that, because they are going to rape you for any amount of profit that you would make. So they came in the back door and literally they mailed this box of signs that had my phone number on it, that I could literally use with the stakes, like 8 by 20, 18 by 24, 9 by 12. I mean, like a full sampling of everything that they had, they mailed, but not one, they like 5 large signs, 5 small signs, 5 of this, 5 of this. Like it was this thing of like, oh my God, like this is real stuff. It's got my number on it. I can use it. And we did. It wasn't a whole bunch of them, but it was like, you couldn't ignore it. And they mailed that to every single office that they could find in the country. And I'll bet you they got, if they have less than 25% of the franchisees buying all their signs from them. I mean, because it was amazing. It was like, at first I was like, holy crap, that was expensive. But every year.
I love the business of free. Free. If you look at some of the biggest brands, Amazon, free shipping, Crumble cookie, free cookies, you know, what some people struggle, I'm going to say some people, my partner and we recently launched a company called Giverfly, helping givers fly. And he is $1,000 an hour sales consultant for Fortune 10 level. And I'm trying to help him understand, you doing a free call for someone does drive business. He's like, yeah, but I'm like, I know, but if you can, it's all like depends on your situation. So I had him make a video the other day answering someone's question in a Slack tech community in Austin. And he probably did like a 5 to 10 minute video. Now that video's in the string of comments, so it's going to stand out. And there's his face and a nice subject, and it's all for her with a little brand logo. And he gave her, I don't know, $1,000 worth of advice, easy, but he did it for free. Very next day, it was like 3 new clients came in. We went viral in some like local startup incubator, and now they'll probably be like multiple 6 figures of revenue for us just from that one free video. So like Terry with her laundromat, and I don't know all your stuff, Terry, but I wouldn't be thinking of free as I gave away $2 worth of product. I would be thinking I acquired a customer for $2, where maybe online I'm going to require them for like $25. Now you have a huge ROI to show to your franchisees, to your franchisor, like whatever that like data you need to show to the people that don't just get it, like Chris talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's at Giverfly, that's what we talk about. It's like you got brand creative, and then you also need to have like data to back it up. You know, if I spend $1, I'm going to make 5. If I spend 5, I'm going to make 5. Like you got to kind of show that. And then what tech people do really well that small business people don't quite is it's like little test. This one's hitting, boom, I'm going. So I forgot what Jim said, but Jim said something was good. And I'm thinking, why aren't you doubling, tripling down on that? Build a process around it and then hire someone else to come in. It's like, it's really, like the free stuff, Trey, it's so good. And like, and my partner is like, and we can raise prices. And I'm going, no. I want to like scale it so free continues, or, because it's like when it's just you and scale hurts, that's not fun. But when scale is super fun and you're in your hot tub like Eric, then scaling's fun. It's like, it's different. So you have to, Trey, like when you say you give out your phone number, I'm like, oh, Trey. But I'm like, you killed it in the free game. It's so impressive what you did. I've loved every interview I've heard with your stuff.
So guys, in the free game, speaking of that, like, so I got 2 things to say. One's not necessarily free, but this is the strategy. So you guys have seen it. I go into the Franchise Secrets Facebook group and I talk about what Justin and I are doing. And I said, we did a video. If you're interested in Justin and I talking about this new mastermind, let me know. Message me or put comments in the group. 2 reasons for that. If it's crickets, I don't want people to know like nobody messaged me. But people would, and then not everybody wants to put comments in the group. So I've had people message me and there's a bunch of comments in that group. All I did was send them the website. So I didn't say, hey, here's the website of the thing that Justin and I are doing. I said, there's a video that Justin and I put together talking about this investor thing that we're doing. Comment interested if you are. So they would comment interested. Then I would go in, like their post. I would go back in, say, I just sent you an instant message. Now it goes into their instant message. And then they look up the website, and it's a website. It is a video, but it's a website. And now I know everyone that is actually interested in that versus just giving the website. So I say that because that's gotten a ton of traction. People are coming to the mastermind because of that. And it's very different than, because it's perceived value. I'm getting something that I just don't click on. The other thing that I've done, I just told you about it. There's 2 other things. Go to franchisesecrets.com/avatar and /new franchisee. 2 different things that I did. And both of these are very valuable. I put together a PDF for the avatar along with a Loom video, Jared's favorite way to do videos, a Loom video. And I put that in there. So franchisors will get that, and it's free value for them. I'm giving them value for free, and it really is valuable. The other thing that, and I'm going to talk about it when I talk about it from stage, or you'll see a post from me randomly like, hey, I did this free avatar, or I did this avatar training. I'll probably charge for it at some point in the future. If you want it, just comment avatar, and franchisors will start commenting avatar, and you guys will be like, oh, Eric talked about this 2 weeks ago. So they'll comment avatar. And then again, I'll go in, I'll like their post. I'll say, hey, I sent it to you. Let me know what you think. And then I'll know who's actually interested in that. And that does a couple of things. It boosts the social posts up because of the likes and the comments. That's in front of more people, especially in a Facebook group of 1,600 of my ideal candidates in there. And then the same thing with the other thing is a Google form that I did for Mighty Dog to help people send one thing out one time, and they can create 10 plus pieces of content out of it. So that's a very valuable form, and because it took me time to put together, and there's strategy behind it that most people don't get right away. So now that's a free thing that's very valuable, like kind of what Jared was talking about. And I'll do the same thing with that. I'll say, I've got this thing that I'll probably charge for, or I say, this is only going to be for my private clients, but for the next, 24 hours, if you're interested, I'll give it to you. And there's truth to that. So anyway, that's the value of free, but it's nice when you can have the free stuff that you give away should be very valuable. That should, when I've talked to a lot of marketers and stuff that are in the business of free, they give away a lot of their best stuff for free, and they're not afraid to do it.
Eric, I wanted to share this visual right here, because you were talking about something that made me think about it. Like, this is a flow chart we use in our marketing funnels. So you could get super advanced, or you could just sketch this out on a piece of paper. But thinking about, how does someone start here at your free thing or free, come into the event, they get this free form or this free form based off who they are. And then how do they move through your funnels? But putting together things like that will help you kind of mind map what you're trying to do. And then it's almost like you're laying down that mind map or technology at your in-person event, because you literally want them to go here and then go that way if they're an adult, or you want them here and go that way if they're more of if it's a kid who wants to do video games instead of code. Jim, like, you got 2 things there you're sending people to. And then you're putting your best salespeople with the people want to code, and the people who are just there for the free video games, they're just getting the intern and like some stickers.
Hey, Jared, this is Brandy. Have you used ClickFunnels before? Or are you familiar with ClickFunnels?
I'm aware of them. I think Eric uses them. In the past, I've always been a lot of gut instinct, handwriting, like my strategy in my head. My co-founder at Giverfly, he's done like 7 or 8 tech startups from 0 to 1 million in sales for like that pinwheel phone I was referencing. They use that type of stuff that I just showed, that chart. They're like making their own, they're making more of their own funnel, but they're doing a lot more custom things. How's your experience been with ClickFunnels?
I haven't used it. I just started doing research about it recently, but I was just curious if anybody has used it and what kind of business, in what kind of business setting or industry, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good platform, Brandy. I've used it for years, and it's one of the bigger ones out there. It's not too complicated. You know, they've got downsides. They don't load as fast as some of the other websites out there, and that's really important if you're in e-commerce and things like that, selling lots of products. But it's a good product. Really good founder, Russell Brunson they have their big conference going on right now. I know people are out there, but Russell Brunson's a brilliant marketer. He's got great books. He's very easy to read. So that's a lot. He's created an incredible community there. But it's an average product, but it gets done for us what needs to get done. And I'm not even using most of it.
And would a tool like that work for a franchise brand or someone in the franchise system, or do we have to have our own landing page or web page from your understanding?
Just depend. Are you talking like as a franchisee, if you want to have ads that run to that particular landing page?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could. Yeah. I mean, if you might get in trouble from the franchisor, but likely they probably won't ever even know that you're doing that. And so,
okay.
So yeah, it would work. A lot of people run Facebook ads to ClickFunnels.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. All right, everyone. I'm going to go see the family. Thanks, Jared. And this was a fun session. So thanks, everyone.
Great. A lot of good information. Thanks for sharing.
Yep. We'll see you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.